Hello and welcome to the Power BI June 2020 update. In this video, we'll explore what's new this month and see some demos of the highlights. Let's start with the reporting section. First, we're introducing the improved mobile layout authoring experience and more mobile layout capabilities. More and more organizations and users have been adopting Power BI mobile apps, and we hope that the capabilities in this release address some of the feedback you've been giving us, making it easier for you to build compelling interactive reports optimized for mobile devices. Michal will show us a demo of the changes.
Back in 2015, we introduced mobile authoring in Power BI Desktop, letting report creators the option to create separate layout for mobile phones. Back then, it was a great new capability. Since then, the usage in Power BI mobile app grew dramatically, and many of Power BI mobile users are top executives expecting great Power BI reports in their fingertips. And indeed, Power BI Desktop added tons of new features for creating great reports that we are missing in today's mobile layout design. Creators are asking for more capabilities, more flexibility, and design choices when building mobile reports. Let's see what we are building for them. First, let's go to Mobile Layout View. The change is notable. We redesigned this view. We now have a modern phone emulator, and the visualization pane in the right has been updated. The grid is now finer and longer. This gives you more flexibility with placing and resizing visuals, and with the length increased, you can now have more visual in the layout. For example, when I take this button from here and resize it, you can see now that it takes much less space than before. If I will take the second visual and place it here, you can see that I have one row space between them, so it is much nicer to look now. Let's remove them. You probably already noticed that the visualization pane also updated. Each visual now has name and visibility indication, and the visual background is not white, so you can now see the details in the visuals that have white font. But this is not all of it. Let me show you what else you can do. Let me take this image and place it here. Now I will take the card visual and place it on top of it. Yes, you're seeing correctly. We now allow you to overlay visuals one on top of the other. So your design options are now almost endless. Let's see how. I pre-build a report and publish it to the service. Let's open it in my phone and see. Here is the report. For us to focus on the content, let's go full screen. As you can see, we have two cards visuals and line chart overlaid and image visual. Under the chart, I have two buttons. Once I tap extra profit button, you can see that the line chart visual has been replaced with bar chart visual. Like in the web layout, I was able to build this good-looking and interactive report using overlaying, bookmark, and hide-show techniques.
Next, automatic page refresh is now generally available. We introduced this feature in October of 2019, allowing you to set the refresh intervals of visuals in your report when using a direct query source. Miguel will walk us through this capability.
Okay, so this month we are making automatic page refresh generally available. And just to summarize, remember, automatic page refresh is an option for you to refresh as frequently as you want any report page if you are connecting to a direct query data source. So that's very important. Let's take a look at the options that we have. So first and foremost, if you go to the formatting pane here and we expand page refresh, you can see that auto page refresh is pre-selected already. I have it with 2 seconds. In Power BI Desktop, you can go as frequently as 1 second if you want. And if I turn this on, you're going to see all visuals in a page starting to refresh every second or every 2 seconds in this case, depending on the interval that you set up. So that's the first one, very straightforward. Just remember, everybody that's looking at this report in desktop or in the service is sending queries for each visual into that direct query data source. Okay, let me turn this off for a minute. And now let's take a look at the second option that we have, which is change detection. You can get to it going to the modeling tab in the ribbon and clicking change detection. So that's one. The other one is just right-clicking on the field list and selecting change detection. And this third one, of course, is here. If we select change detection, you're going to see an add change detection link here. Let me actually use the ribbon link. So when you click on it, you can see first that it has the little diamond on it, which means this is a premium only feature, but you can actually do this in Power BI Desktop anyways. There are several reasons for that, and let me show you those as we go through. So in this particular case, you can see that we have different tables in this data set. I want to refresh this page of the report every time we get a new customer. A good way of doing that would be, we're going to create a new change detection measure. I'm going to drag ID of customer. And if I want that measure to change every time we get a new customer, for example, account distinct will do the trick. The other setting that you have here for change detection is how often you want to check for those changes. Let's go with every 2 seconds just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to click apply, and several things are going to happen here. Number one, you're going to see a new measure being created in that table with a specific icon, same as the one that we have in the modeling ribbon section, to basically let you know that you have a change detection. The other one is, as you can see here, that in this section, we're going to update that information for you here. So you're going to see the name of the measure, and we're also going to provide how often you set up that change. And third and foremost, of course, the visuals are actually going to change when that measure changes. So this is checking every 2 seconds again the data source. If you get a new count, all of the visuals in this page are going to get refreshed, and that means those queries are going against the data source. For both options, let me show you some tools that we have for you for troubleshooting. We showed you this last month, but it's always good to highlight that again. I'm going to turn on the performance analyzer, and I'm going to start recording for a bit. You're going to see 2 things here. The change detection actually shows up, but also all of the visuals being refreshed when that happens. So this is useful basically for 2 main reasons. The first one is you can check the performance of your change detection measure. Ideally, if you created that with the dialog, we're trying to use very lightweight queries there, but also you can use any measure. If you did that and maybe that measure is not that performant, let's say if you have it every second, but the measure actually takes, let's say 3 seconds to come back, you're going to see that visually, but also you can see it here in the performance analyzer. The other thing that you can do, and this applies to both change detection and automatic page refresh, is that every time the visuals get refreshed, they're going to show up here the same way they show up on every interaction or every refresh that you do in a regular report page. You can also use this information to see, for example, one of the visuals is taking too long to refresh. Look at that query and figure out what's wrong with it, or how you can improve it or optimize it a little bit. Okay, so now let's go to the service and highlight a couple of things here. Automatic page refresh is available both in Power BI Pro, but also in Power BI Premium. When it comes to Premium, we're giving admins the ability to turn these workloads on and off. So let me show you how to do that. If you go to the admin portal under your capacity, you're going to see that, let me find it, there it is. You're going to see here that we give admins the option of turning on and off. but also we give them the option of changing the minimum refresh interval or execution for the change detection. Let me actually zoom in a little bit more into that. Here we go. There we go. What you see here are the default values that we have. So because we are GAing these features, they're going to be on by default, but they have quote unquote very conservative intervals. 5 minutes for automatic page refresh and 30 seconds for change detection measure. This means that admins have the option of turning on and off, or maybe, let's say, provide some benefit to people that use the most efficient route here, which is change detection, instead of the brute force automatic page refresh approach. So let's say they can provide 30 seconds for automatic page refresh, and maybe if you want to do every 1 second, you actually have to go and tell the authors to create a change detection. So that's the first one. They both need to be on here for the author to turn that on. Now let's take a look at how the authors can actually do that in the service. So you can see here, I have the same report that we were looking at before. If you go into the edit mode of a report, you're going to see the same menu here, and you're going to see the same options. It's important to remember that this is a direct query source, so you need to provide the credentials again into the data set for this to work. So you can see here that if I turn this on, automatic page refresh is going to work the same way as it works in desktop, but now it's on the service, so the queries are actually coming from the Power BI service into that data source, direct query data source. You can also change to change detection, which is the one that we created. You can see the same icon here, and you can see the same information. And now there's a query on the background running. And when that query changes or that measure changes, you get the updates here. Last but not least, I wanted to show, this is mostly for admins, but for anybody with access to the Premium Metrics app, how these queries show up for now into the Metrics app. So you can see here that if I go to the datasets page of the report, you're going to have all of the query durations, query weights, and datasets. Because these are pure direct query queries, that's kind of redundant, they're only going to show up here when basically you have either a query duration or a query weight. A good way of identifying a dataset or a workspace that has automatic page refresh is going to be volume, of course. So if I sort by total count of queries, you're going to see that this sales report actually has a bunch of queries and also has a lot of information on duration. And you can see them here in the chart too. So if you're an admin and you're trying to identify, let's say, which workspaces have automatic page refresh, this is a good way to do so. And you just basically can click on any of the visual representations or the graphics that we have, and then it's going to filter that for you. So in this particular time and date, you can see how many queries were fired, the average duration, and the maximum duration based on that. Also, you can see here that we have some direct query live connection information. So when the times exceeds 80% utilization, we'll also highlight that. And in this particular case, that is not happening, so there's no specific troubleshooting. I think that's it for automatic page refresh. Thank you so much for helping us create this feature, giving us feedback. Please keep that coming. There's a couple more things that we would like to do, but we think this is ready for showtime. So please test it out. Give us more feedback. There's a link to the forum that we're using for that, and keep the feedback coming. Thank you so much.
Next, we're excited to announce the Hierarchical Slicer is now generally available. Sujatha will show us a demo of all the improvements.
So back in February, we released a public preview of the Hierarchy Slicer. With the Hierarchy Slicer, for a recap, you could basically create a slicer that instead of having just one field, you could add multiple fields. So for example, here I have category as my parent field, and then the child items are the products within that category. So this can be really beneficial, especially if you have filters that are quite related, and it's just easier to organize them in a hierarchy versus having separate different filters for each field. So in terms of what's new this month, not only have we made the feature generally available, we've also added several updates. So I'm going to walk us through what's been added and show you guys where you can find these new options. So the first thing we've done is we've added more options. So if you want to change the icon for the expand and collapse. So you can find that in the format pane. And if you go to items, you'll see, if you look down here, you'll see expand collapse icon. And while we default to the chevron, you also have the option to change it to plus minus, for example. You could also change it to a caret icon as well. So this is kind of more about your personal preference of which icon matches better with your report. The other thing we've added, and this is more helpful if you are interested in either taking up more real estate or taking up less, we've added the option to change the level of indentation of the child items. So what I mean by that, if we open up one of these items here, you'll see that by default we have a 15% value for how much we indent the child items. But let's say if you want to make that less, you can just drag this slider to the left side. So this can help, again, saving up some real estate if you like. And then let's say if you want a little bit more space, so if you want to spread out more, you can just drag the slider to the right. So that's the second improvement we've added. And then the next improvement I want to talk about, so this one is not specific to Hierarchy Slicer, but it's for all slicers in general. If you're changing the, let's say, font size or text size and font family, previously the icons did not scale as you made those changes. So for example, if I increase the text size here to make it a little bit larger, previously these icons on the left here would not have scaled and they would stay the same size as the default. But now we've improved this and we realize that it's much better when your icons and your fonts are around the same amount of real estate. So we made sure that whenever you change the text size, either making it larger or smaller than the default, the icons will scale with it. And then the last thing I want to touch on in terms of improvements is this is more specific if you're using this feature in conjunction with an AI visual. So previously in the public preview phase, we did not have support for AI visuals, meaning that the filters in a hierarchy slicer would not be cross-filtering any AI visuals. But now we're happy to announce that we do support usage of filters across any of the AI visuals. So for example, if I unselect this, you'll see how the key influencers visual on the right has been updated to reflect the changes to the hierarchy slicer.
Next, the modern ribbon is now generally available. Thank you for giving us your feedback during the preview period. Please visit our documentation to learn more about the changes and benefits of the new ribbon. We'll of course continue to make additions and add more features to the ribbon in the future. We've also continued to improve the featured tables capability in Excel's data types gallery this month with row-level security support. Now, when you mark a table as featured and then published to the Power BI service, that table will appear in Excel's data types gallery, even if it has RLS rules applied. Previously, these tables were not shown in Excel. This new enhancement means that users in Excel will only see the rows of data they have access to. Next, in the Analytics section, AI insights in Power Query are now generally available. Justina will take us through a demo of this feature.
This month, we are excited to announce the general availability of AI insights inside Power Query. AI insights are a collection of pre-trained machine learning models, as well as the ability to call Azure machine learning models that you or someone in your organization has built. Let's get started by taking a look at some of the pre-trained models that you can leverage with AI insights. The first ones are textual analytics libraries, which are based on the cognitive services that exist inside Azure. With these models, you're able to do things like detect language, extract key phrases, or score sentiment. All you have to do in this case is provide the column from which you want to extract out the sentiment. In my case, it's the description column, and press OK. At this point, Power BI analyzes the data, and for every single textual field over here in this description column, it's going to calculate the sentiment. As you can see, it has created a new column that is between 0 and 1, where 0 is a very negative sentiment and 1 is very positive. I can also apply vision cognitive services that do things like image detection. Please note that for the text analytics and vision machine learning models, we do require a premium capacity to be able to run them. In the case of Azure machine learning models, Power BI automatically recognizes which machine learning models you as a user have access to. In this case, you do not need a premium capacity. Once Power BI has identified the various machine learning models you have access to, you can select one and map the schema that it expects to the data in your data model. In this case, this model only takes a single column, which is an image, and so I'm going to provide it with the picture URL. This is now going to run against the Azure machine learning model that exists inside the Azure subscription, and is going to return me a new calculated column, just like it did with the sentiment analysis. I can now expand this column to see the output that has been returned.
We have several updates for you in the visualization section. First, you can now format the dots on your line charts to have different colored dots show up for categories across all of your series. Tessa will show us a demo for this update.
This month, we have a new formatting update to line charts. Now you can add different colored dots to show for categories across all of your series. So if I select my line chart here and I decide that I want to add a special dot for Xbox, then I just go to my formatting pane, then I go to data colors. You'll need to click this toggle on to show all, and here you'll see all of the different categories listed in your visual. Now, if I wanted to change the color for Xbox and show a particular point, I can just select that color of choice, and a dot will show up for that data point on my line chart. If you have multiple series, you will be able to show them across all of the series for that particular category. You can select different colors for different categories, like I can make Xbox One this light blue color instead. And if I want to get rid of my dots, then you'll need to click this Revert to Default button.
We also have a few new visual options available for you on AppSource. First up, the Radar chart by MAQ Software. This chart consists of a sequence of equiangular spokes, with each spoke representing a variable. A line is drawn connecting the data values for each spoke, giving the plot a star-like appearance. This chart is useful across a variety of use cases, from finance to product management to people operations. Next is ValQ for modern visual planning, a new Power BI certified visual that lets businesses meet their planning, simulations, and analysis needs within Power BI, all without the need for any server, database, or IT support. This multi-purpose application supports multiple use cases across the enterprise, including what-if simulations, process modeling, business planning, budgeting, data analysis, and forecasting. Next is the xViz Advanced Trellis chart, a group of similar charts having a common axis and value fields split across a category. For example, you can compare the same product sales across different countries, where each country is displayed in a separate chart. They're a great choice when it comes to analysing trends across a category in a single view. xViz has also released a new Power BI certified version of the Gantt chart, with a variety of new features for a wide range of use cases. These updates support multiple reference lines and reference ranges, additional milestone customization options, hyperlink support, and conditional formatting enhancements. OKViz has also updated its Cards with States visual. This visual offers enhancements to the core card visual, allowing you to include a spark line and display the state of a measure. The most recent version of this visual introduces several new features, including displaying multiple copies of a card split by category, a new user interface to customize measure state, and interactive trend lines. Links to more information about all of these visuals, as well as links to download them from AppSource, can be found in the video description below. We also have several new additions to our Power BI templates on AppSource. Template apps allow you to save time by connecting your own data to a pre-built report that you can personalize and share. This month's template apps include the Agile HR Analytics solution, which helps you discover useful HR insights across areas like diversity metrics, absenteeism, and staff turnover. And the Uber User Data Report, an analytics report by Havens Consulting, which provides metrics and detailed information built from the last 12 months of your downloaded Uber user data. If you're interested in trying out either of these template apps, please check out their links in the video description below. Next, in the modeling section, we have a few updates for you on the model view. The first is that the model view is now enabled when you live connect from Power BI Desktop to an analysis services model or to a dataset published in the Power BI service. Tessa will show us a demo.
This month we have an update to Live Connect. Model View is now enabled for Live Connect. When you Live Connect from Power BI Desktop to an analysis services model or to data set published in the Power BI service, the model view is now enabled. So if I Live Connect to a model that I have, then previously you wouldn't see this button in the upper left-hand corner. If I switch to the model view now, you can create multiple layouts of your model and view and modify report measure properties. A couple of things to note are that if you are using a multidimensional model, it will show all attribute hierarchies and other hidden elements. Also, if you're using a multidimensional model or an older version of SSAS tabular, some relationships may not show up, but we'll work on enabling these in the future. This feature right now is in preview, so if you want to turn it off, just go to your options and settings, and you can go to the preview features and uncheck Model View for Live Connect. There's also a link where you can share some feedback on this experience.
We have also added some new functionality to the model view based on your feedback, including formatting and UI improvements. Tessa will take us through these changes.
This month, we have some updates to model view behavior. We've heard some feedback on the behavior of the model view, and so here are some of the updates that we've made based on your guys' feedback. You can now resize table containers from any side or corner. We also heard feedback that the dragging functionality made it too easy to accidentally create hierarchies, so we've removed that functionality. Now, if you want to create a hierarchy, just right-click on the field. Also, hierarchies were previously sorted alphabetically in the model view in terms of their hierarchy level. Now, this automatic alphabetical sorting has been omitted. And lastly, some of you may have noticed previously that if you had a field with 2 colon characters or commas that a relationship arrow wouldn't display or the diagram would gray out. This bug has since been fixed. Hope you guys enjoy some of these updates to the model view.
In the data connectivity section, we are happy to bring you the Palantir Foundry connector. Palantir Foundry is a platform that reimagines how people use data by removing the barriers between back-end data management and front-end data analysis. This connector will soon be available in the Online Services section of the Get Data dialog. And lastly, we have a couple of updates for you on our trainings. As with every month, we have updated the Dashboard in a Day training program. If you are delivering or participating in the Dashboard in a Day virtual sessions, please download the latest version from the Event Center. Furthermore, Power BI Developer in a Day is joining instructor-led training courses on June 1st with a new course for Power BI Embedded Analytics. The aim of this course is to empower developers with the technical knowledge required to embed and extend Power BI, with a focus on embedded solutions through labs such as developing with the Power BI REST API, embedding Power BI Analytics, and exploring the Power BI JavaScript API, as well as developing real-time dashboards. To learn more about our trainings, check out the links in the video description below. And that's all for this month. We hope you enjoy the updates, and please keep sending us feedback on what you'd like to see in upcoming releases. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next month.